Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Indy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Burke, bounces into Cody, puts it up, scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome in. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you, as always, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. And as we get to start off each Monday, fortunately, the great Don Fischer with us now, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. Don, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, but it's Tuesday. You know that, right?
Boy, this week I'm going to be screwed up all week now since you told me that. Man, I'm going to be off every day. I'm done. But yeah, happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks a lot, Don. We had some people had the holiday yesterday, but some of us didn't. But Indiana football did not. They continued to roll forward. We were out there as the press conferences on Monday, as always, as the Hoosiers coming off of a very surprising loss to me, Don. Not that they lost. I mean, you go out to a place like Iowa, very tough environment, a very well-coached team, always good, consistently good. But it was how they lost this game, I think, that is really left people shaking their heads a little bit. I was just surprised that the offense just didn't have any fire, and the defense was just off a step. They didn't play bad, but were just off a step.
Well, there's no question that the offense was the difference in this ball game. Michael Penix struggled mightily. Last year we saw him struggle in the first 50 minutes of the game against Penn State, but Indiana was close enough to make a game of it when he found himself and became the player that we know he can be, and it literally did a dominant performance in the last 20 minutes that he played in that contest. Had we seen that out of him in this ball game, it still wouldn't have made a difference because Indiana was too far behind at that point. But Michael's 3 interceptions, the offensive line didn't block very well for the run game once again. Part of that was due to the absence of Luke Haggard, who was missing because of an ankle injury. Then they had to move people around. They've got guys in different positions, playing, roles that they've had in the past, but hadn't practiced as much. So there's no question that this team was off offensively. They struggled mightily. The defense gave up a big play at the very outset of this ball game. Iowa's first possession, they scored a 55-yard run, I think the second or third play of the game. And then Michael Penix throws a pick 6 to start their second possession their first possession of the game. So when you look at what happened, the start killed this football team. There's no doubt about it. It put the offense back on its heels. The defense responded after that, I think, actually played very well most of the rest of this contest. You give up just 303 yards in a ball game these days, you've done a great defensive job because offenses are all set up to at least move the football and score points. In this contest, Indiana didn't do that, and obviously Iowa did just enough to get it done.
Yeah, and fortunately, Indiana gets a chance. They come back home and hopefully can get that ship righted this week. An Idaho team comes in, and hopefully they can work on things because the week after that, what you don't want to look forward, is a Cincinnati game that definitely will be a terrific challenge in Bloomington. But the first home game this weekend, so that's nice for the fans. It's a night game. How long has it been since you've done an Indiana night game?
Well, the oddity is that we've had night games several years in a row up until last year. We didn't have any last year because of COVID, and TV schedules have now gotten to the point where they're going to have night games, and we've had that for several years now. So it's not like it's been forever. I can't remember the last night game we had, but it was probably 2 years ago, I would say. And if not then maybe 3 years ago. But all that said, what time you play matters little to these kids these days. I mean, if it was a coach and if it's an old broadcaster like me, I'd much rather play at noon on Saturdays or 1 o'clock at the latest. But now, of course, you play just about any particular time. It just depends on what TV decides to do with your schedule. So But here's the truth of the matter. The biggest problem with that loss against Iowa was the fan base. And the fan base, as you know, and I know, and if you've been around Indiana football for any length of time, expectations get built up and then they get let down in a hurry with a performance like Indiana had last week. And it's like, here we go again. And it's the same old Indiana. Those are the thinking processes that go on in fans' minds. And in truth, you can understand it. I mean, it's been going on for a long time with Indiana football. It's been like that for many, many, many years. We've had 3 winning seasons now since 1994. Think about it. It tells you all you need to know about this program and why fans doubt that you're where you think you are. And honestly, I think this team is 10 times better than what we saw on Saturday, but unfortunately they didn't prove it. And the expectations of the fan base are back where they usually are, not expecting much.
Yeah, I saw you see a lot of that on social media. And I'm like, guys, I'm telling you, I do feel sorry for the team because exactly what you said. They are so much better. Ryder Anderson, a player who is a transfer, but he has got, you can tell he has the ultimate confidence that is a good football team. Right. He knows good footballs. He came from the SEC, and he is talking about how they've just got to get some things cleaned up on the defensive side, especially, and that they were a really good team. We already know they're a good team. They've got a lot of great players. They had 7 returning starters. They've just got to get some things cleaned up. Charlie, you know about that. When you have new faces, they just got to get everybody on the same page. You've got a new defensive coordinator. I'm sure there were just some slight communication issues, maybe still, but they've got to get that together, and I think that they will. After seeing what you need to fix, it's a lot easier to fix it.
Well, I would definitely say having a good week of probably understanding. Now that preseason jitters or whatever you want to call them might be over. You got battle tested and slapped in the face pretty hard. So now you have some substance, I believe, to go into this week, right? Because you can't win with turnovers. I mean, I don't, 3 turnovers, 20 points. I mean, you're gonna have to score for every turnover that you do, and you can't combat that. So who knows what that was all about? But I can imagine the fan weather friends, Don. I get that. It's a part of that process. Those kids are going to get used to it and get ready for this week.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you hate it for the players because these guys all know that they're better than what they performed like on Saturday. But the fan base doesn't know that. The fan base thinks, well, we're just back to where we once were. And that's a sad part of what Indiana has dealt with for all these years from a football perspective. It tells you the thinking process that happens when things don't go the way they're expected to go. And honestly, at this juncture, I can't blame our fan base. I've been doing this for 49 years. Right. I've seen this happen a million times, and I don't like it. And I hate to make excuses for the team, but at the same time, I understand their scenario too. So I'm around both sides of the package here, and I get it from both perspectives. But just from a historical perspective, Indiana football has been doing this to our fan base for a long time, and you can understand why they feel
Exactly. I mean, and I think that person just asked the question, was Iowa a better team? I would say yes. I mean, the better team ended up having a few mistakes, right? Ended up playing better. You're at home, a home opener, sold out crowd. All those factors play a role. And I think that was a good test for us. And you can only hope that it's going to get better from that game. That the first game's out of the way. Does it mean a lot? Who knows? But now they can prove themselves week to week. And hopefully that fan base will get better with support.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Don, I think that one of the things is you start off on the road in a Big Ten conference game. That's not exactly an easy test to manage, but Michael Penix's first game he's played in 2 years in front of a crowd. First game he's coming off of that injury. He had so much going through his head. Hopefully getting that one game out of the way, because I had friends that were telling me that how loud it was down there on the field. And I can imagine 70,000 fervent Iowa fans. It's going to be extraordinarily loud. We haven't had that in 2 years. He hasn't seen that in 2 years. That's a lot to come back from at the same time.
Well, and I understand that completely, but Michael's not a first-time guy. He was there when they did have crowds. So I'm going to throw all that stuff out. I'm just going to simply say Mike had a bad ball game, and he's coming off another knee injury. That had to be in the back of his mind as well, as you pointed out. There's no question there were things that he was dealing with that the normal athlete who's getting ready for a football season hasn't had to deal with. But the key here is he's got to bounce back, and he's got to do it in a hurry. If he doesn't, then Tom Allen has got a decision to make, because he's got a guy in the wings, and Jack Tuttle, who's been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. And he's done it. And last year when he was called upon, he did a terrific job. Now, of course, he came into this ball game with 9 minutes left and the game out of hand. There wasn't much they could do. And, of course, the offensive line wasn't blocking anybody at that point. So nothing happened when Jack was in there. But Jack Tuttle's a capable replacement. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, you don't want to pull Michael Penix out of there at this juncture. But Mike's got to play better than he did on Saturday. And hopefully it starts with this Idaho game on this weekend, because Idaho won 68-0 over Simon Fraser. I thought it was an author when I heard that they played Simon Fraser. But nevertheless, they played a team out of Canada that really is like a Division II team. So to beat them 68-0 was probably no great shakes in Idaho's perspective. But this is an Idaho team. It's coming from the Big Sky Conference. It's not a Power 5 school. This is a team that you should take care of business against very quickly, and hopefully that happens on Saturday, and we get past this whole first week debacle and get ready for a Cincinnati team. And I don't want to talk about Cincinnati now because they're down the road, but that's a top 10 team you're going to face the following week, and you can't even think about that one before you get this one taken care of.
Yeah, and Idaho's coached by a Petrino. So if you follow football, folks, you know that Petrino name has been around a long time, and they like to score points. His brother Bobby, of course, at Louisville and other places. But his brother's been out at Idaho for quite a while, I believe. I think he's been there for a long time.
Yeah, 2013 or 14 is when he got there. So, yeah, this is a guy that's got a record, that he's got a very good football coach. He's got a background. And he's with a program in the Big Sky Conference. They play good football out there. It's not superstar status. It's much like the MAC. So you're going to have to deal with a team that's probably going to be pretty well coached. They used 3 quarterbacks last week. A freshman, I guess, looked the best of the 3, but they've got 3 different kinds of quarterbacks, and they must have used like 70-some players, from what I was told, in a 68-0 trouncing of Simon Fraser out of Canada.
Well, they certainly got their reps in, ready for this week. So what are you expecting to see, Don? What do you think the crowd? I'm wondering about. This is a night game. It's a great opportunity. People get to tailgate all day. You don't have to rush out there. You can get to the stadium, a game under the lights, which is kind of cool for Indiana fans. I'm wondering, the Cincinnati game, from what I understand, is already sold out. I wonder how that's going to affect the attendance on this game.
Well, that's the question. Will the fans still show up? Because I know that they were close to 40, maybe 45,000 fans that were expected to show up for this game. The student body section is sold out. They sold every ticket for the students this year. So will all those kids show up? Because I have a grandson down there who's a sophomore, and he calls me up and he says, "Grandpa, what happened?" So I gave him my spiel, of course, and I said, "So what's it sound like from the student body?" And he says, "Well, it kind of sounds like what you talked about before. It's the same old Indiana." I said, "Well, let's hope that's not the case." And I said, "I don't think it is. So tell all your friends to still show up for the football game." Absolutely.
Wednesday night, don't forget, you got the coaches show again in week 2. Starts at 7, I believe.
Yep, 7:05 is our airtime on Wednesday night with the coach at our new location, Southern Stone. Obviously, any fans that want to show up for that, great. They've got a great venue there, terrific restaurant, really good food. Had their the double stacked cheeseburger or whatever that thing was last week. And it was really, really good. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try everything on the menu at some point this year.
I had the sriracha shrimp, and I ate every one of the shrimp. It was really good. That was just an appetizer. Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's at Patterson and Rogers, by the way. It's kind of a nice little location, plenty of parking. So a great place to go out and watch the coach. It's a great setup. It's nice seating. It's just a little bit more open. Just to pull. Of course, next year they're moving over to Hanks, but right now this is Southern Stone, a great location, and some great food. Get out there and watch Don and the coach. That's at Wednesday night at 7. Don, I know you got to run. I can't thank you enough, man.
Good to be with you guys. Charlie, did you just sleep in this morning? What?
What's that?
Did you just sleep in this morning? Because you got here a little late.
Hey, man, I like that, Don. I got some push-ups I got to do. I got some push-ups I got to do. It is what it is, man.
Everybody's always tweeting in that Charlie looks like he's 20 years old. And I'm like, I know he does. Quit reminding me.
Yeah, Charlie is drinking from the same water that I drink from. So I like it.
I was going to say that because you're the next person that everybody says that about. Absolutely.
You guys have a question for Don. I have a quick question for Don.
Shoot.
How do you prepare your questions for Coach Allen after a game like this? Like, what goes into your process?
To be honest with you, I don't think about it. I do it when I get there. I know what I'm doing. I mean, you always have a feel for what you're going to ask because let's face facts here. That was not pretty.
Exactly.
And I have never gone in and wrote down a bunch of questions to ask a coach because I want to get the mood. Yeah. I want to see how he's reacting to things. Without Coach Allen, he's pretty easy. He's not. You can get him started, and he'll go for as long as you want him to go. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I really don't worry about that. I've never, in all my years of broadcasting, I think maybe 3 times in my life I've written down questions to ask a coach.
Okay.
Most of the time I just do it by feel or what's going on or how the team played or that kind of thing. So from a preparation standpoint for interviews, I may be the worst interviewer in the world because I do no preparation.
Man, that's good stuff. No, listen, you turn skill to feel, and that's exactly when you are a veteran. So salute. I love it. And I think you said it best. You keep it open-ended, and I know he can go. So
yeah, absolutely.
He's not a veteran. He is the leader in the clubhouse, Charlie.
There may be some guys. There may be some guys you interviewed that you may have wished you wrote questions down for.
Understood.
And Coach Knight was one of those. But
Freddie McSwain.
Let me just tell you something. If I ever went in with a sheet of paper with a bunch of questions written down on it, Knight would have grabbed it and
probably balled it up. I
balled it up and thrown it in the thing. So trust me, that man taught me a lot very early on in my career about how to handle things.
I love it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
How to move on the run, I'm sure is. Don, I know you got to run. We'll look forward to seeing you on Wednesday and enjoy the week. And what else you got coming up this week? Anything else?
I got nothing else. Just I do 2 things these days. I do talk shows and play-by-play. Other than that, and of course you have to prepare for that. That's all. It's work related, and just like anybody else in your job, if you want to do it well, you've got to prepare. So there's a lot of reading and a lot of website going to and those kinds of things. So there's a lot of work to do, but it's not like real work, if you know what I mean. If you really like it, it's not work at all.
Exactly.
Let's see. Bruce says Don may remember him. He is the old bus driver that from the old late Bob Knight days and the Tom Green days.
I do remember Bruce. Absolutely.
Well, Bruce, there you go. Don says hello there. So thanks a lot, Bruce. Great to have you aboard. But it's amazing. That still amazes me how deep and far back the tentacles are still out there from so far ago. With these people, with everyone that's still involved, and it's awesome to see that.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. It's very cool, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
Don's got to.
See you guys.
Don, we'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans. That was awesome.
Nice.
That was just awesome. That was incredible. So, yeah, awesome. Great, Bruce. Glad to have you along. And he did remember you. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people. I mean, 49 years, if you think about that.
Oh.
And, I mean, you've seen people come and go, and, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's – can you imagine? All right, so next year will be 50 years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm trying to think of the sets of ears that have heard Don Fischer.
Oh, man. I mean,
I don't have a calculator that big, man.
You've grown. Some people have grown up, right? Just hearing his voice. So,
Hey, look,
Mike, how you doing?
Mike DeCourcy.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing?
Doing well, man.
What's going on?
How are
Great,
you,
man.
sir?
Mike's over there fixing that hair, getting right. I like it. I caught you, Mike. I caught you.
Professional, man. He's a
That's right.
professional.
That's right.
Man, we go from Don Fischer to Mike DeCourcy.
Oh, my.
Bam.
We're really stepping down.
That's big time, man. Yeah.
Telling you.
We're getting this really big.
What is new with Mike DeCourcy? How was your assignment?
Oh, it was awesome. It was so great. The Atlantic, actually, the Gulf of Mexico could not have been better.
You know, it's never bad unless there's a hurricane.
Yes.
That's the only thing that can ruin the Gulf of Mexico is a hurricane, basically.
Yeah, we were obviously it was very unfortunate for the people in Louisiana, but that that hurricane went well west of where we were, so was not an issue for us.
Yeah, my daughter is at Ole Miss, and that's all I'm thinking of. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Man.
Mike, were you disappointed in those World Cup qualifiers?
I kind of expected it. I thought I was what I was really disappointed in was Weston McKennie getting himself thrown out. I mean, that that's you expect young players to do some dumb things, but not something that gets you suspended for 2 games. I mean, that was ridiculous.
All right, we'll go ahead and bring us back in.
Cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Have you been to
dinner at Sam's Clubhouse? Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Sound like we're going a little 70s style there. Welcome back. Mike DeCourcy joining us here. Charlie Miller, of course, on board on this Tuesday. Had to check again. Don had to remind me. I'm used to Boy, I'm going to be off all week. I went through the whole spiel when we came on. Happy Monday, yada, yada. And Don says, well, that's great, except for it's Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? So, but that's great. I love short weeks, even though I'll be screwed up all week. The short weeks are the greatest. I mean, they just are the greatest because at first it messes with your head, but the next thing you know, it's Friday. You're like going, great. But how was your Labor Day weekend?
Well, my Labor Day weekend was extended, as you know, Jim. I got a chance to take a week off after it's been a pretty long year for everybody, I guess. And so it was nice to take a week off. But I wasn't, wherever you go, the game follows you. So I won't say where I was because that's, mainly to protect the privacy of the individual I'm about to name. But I was at dinner with my wife on one of the nights of our vacation, and I saw a woman walk by who looked very familiar, but I couldn't place her. I thought maybe she'd been on television news somewhere I lived or something like that, and then she walked past, and then immediately I looked up at the gentleman who was following behind her. It was Thad Matta.
Wow.
That was Thad's wife that I couldn't quite place because it was a little out of context.
On vacation.
On my vacation, yes. He was taking a long weekend. This was toward the end of my vacation. He was taking a long weekend for Labor Day, I guess. And so there he was. And so we chatted a few minutes. It was great to see him. And obviously he's fired up about what's been going on since he got to IU and you know what's about to happen going forward. So it was great to see him, and he looks great. He looked really refreshed and
Good.
The back issue that had bothered him that really affected his last few years at Ohio State. He looks really good. He looks really sharp, and I think he's gonna. I think it's already proven he's been an asset to IU, and I'm sure that will continue going forward. He's a brilliant basketball man.
Absolutely, and looking forward. He's been able to kind of stay in the background and do whatever it is that he's doing, which has probably made things a lot easier for him. Charlie, I'm not even sure exactly what his role is, but whatever it is, it's working. The recruiting is working at Indiana. They're landing players. They're on the final list of players like Noah Clowney, who I think that once they've gotten him on campus, that recruiting changed. I think they're very high on his list now, and already in a Final Four. But a kid from Louisville, Caleb Glenn, Louisville Male High School. You don't get kids. Indiana does not rarely ever do they even recruit kids from Kentucky. To recruit two this season, or currently, one of which is really a Kentucky legacy and no shot at that. But this kid, I think they have a very good chance of landing him. And to get a kid out of Louisville that is a 4-star player is shocking. You've got Louisville and Kentucky to go through over that. But I think Louisville is continuing to shoot themselves in the foot. And I think that what is the latest things that have gone on there is going to cost them in his recruiting. Just my personal thought.
Yeah, I think that it's been a really rough ride for Louisville over the last 6 months or so. Not much has gone
decade.
Right. Yeah, it's just not. There have been a lot of things that have not been handled ideally, and then of course they still have hanging over them the IARP case that resulted from the 2017 investigation by the Justice Department into the basketball talent game. That what came out of that still is hanging over them, and so it is problematic for them, and they have to recruit against that. I don't know how much that has impacted the recruitment of this particular player. But they're fighting an uphill battle there. And, I think, honestly, I think there was a pretty strong overreaction at U of L to last season. I mean, remember, they were my only mistake on my bracket.
That sounds like a great song.
Yeah. Yes. For 2021, they were the only mistake I made. And I think that there were others who had them in their field incorrectly as well. So it wasn't that they had some disastrous implosion. You look at Penn State football, they didn't overreact to last year. I mean, they had an awful year. The pandemic messed with a lot of people. So they didn't overreact. James Franklin came back. They did, they continued to try to retrench and continued to recruit forward and dealt with the players that they had. And they start off this season with a fantastic win over Wisconsin. So I think a lot of things went wrong at Louisville last year that weren't quite there, but I'm not sure that the reaction to those problems was proportionate to what did go wrong.
No, but part of it, when they bring in Chris Mack, who's seems like a good guy, a pretty normal guy. But there was a video last year that surfaced on Twitter where he was downstairs in a basement partying with I think it was a former U of L football player, maybe, but they were obviously having fun, which nothing wrong with that. He's in the house and all that. I have no issue with that, but that should not be going out. He should not allow that stuff to be going out. People that he's with should know that that should not be going out, because the Louisville program is one that it has to show itself being above board right now. And that's his main job, is to just don't do anything bad. You've got that. Now you've got this issue with his former mentor turned assistant. And it's just, and then he ends up breaking university protocols, gets a 6-game suspension. I mean, you've got your second consecutive coach that's been suspended within 2 years or 3 years, however long it's been. That might be a record.
Yeah, it's possible. As I said, I think that a lot of things that happened at Louisville within the past 6-8 months, what maybe actually it goes back a little further than that, because we're, this year is racing by. We're already in September, so I guess it goes back really 10 months or so. And so a lot of things have not gone well for Louisville. And as I said, I think that sometimes the overreaction to issues creates more issues. And I think that that's the case here. I don't know that Louisville needed a complete staff change to deal with the fact that they missed the tournament by the narrowest of margins. I don't know that that's something that they needed to do. And choosing to go in that direction, of course, created the dominoes that led to the suspension. So I think that Louisville has a lot to work out from under. And I do think that will continue to impact them into this season, just based on who's on their roster, who's not. It's going to be a harder road for them, I think, in this what will be likely a full season with minimal interruptions. I think that this season will be more challenging for them than last was, and so we'll see how that goes and what the impact is based on how they perform.
Well, football program certainly didn't perform. They got blown out on national TV last night by an Ole Miss team that we don't really know how good they are. It's Lane Kiffin, so always expect some fireworks. But, man, they are not – I don't know that they're really moving upwards under their current coach, Scott Satterfield. And they've just really fallen off, which shocked me. But we've got Florida State back over the weekend. How exciting was that to watch a Florida State Notre Dame game? That was exciting.
It was great. It was a tremendous game. And obviously for Florida State, it didn't end the way they wanted it to. But the fact that they were able to come back and take the game into overtime was a victory of sorts for them. And so, whether they can build on that, we'll see. But with the rest of the ACC not performing particularly well in interconference matchups, I think Florida State can feel pretty confident that if they continue to improve, that they can do really well in this league this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just great to see everybody, like Indiana's in basketball. They need to be good. It's good for the sport. Florida State, man, that was some fun times. Bobby Bowden and Steve Spurrier. What better yearly game there was no game I wanted to watch, just because I wanted to hear what Steve Spurrier was going to say about Free Shoes U. I mean, it was just that dude. He was funny. But yeah, that was just all those characters and all that. And a lot of things have been sanitized in that regard now, but the great games are still the great games and those great atmospheres. And to see Florida State's stadium filled and loud, man, because they've gone through some rough times.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I think what we've learned in college athletics over the last 2 decades that kind of we needed to learn was that there are, and this hits home for Indiana as well, that you can have a great program and it need not necessarily be based on the particular coach, although that coach puts a lot into it, whether it's Bowden at Florida State or obviously, Mac Brown at Texas, or obviously Coach Knight at Indiana. But when you are replacing that person, if you get it wrong, the weight of the program isn't going to hold it up. You can't get that wrong. You saw it at Kentucky when they hired Billy Gillispie. They went from being an absolute power under Rick Pitino to being a very strong SEC program that had power, that had the ability to break through nationally, but didn't quite after they won their first championship, to being really a disaster, to being a power again when they got it right again. So you have an advantage. You have a built-in advantage at a place like IU or at a place like Florida State in football or at a place like Kentucky in hoops. You have a built-in advantage, but it can't overcome hiring errors. When you hire the wrong person or you don't support the person you hire properly, either one of those or a combination, you're going to have problems. So you have to get that right. Yeah, the right man has to be in the job. And right now it looks like that Indiana has the right person in Mike Woodson. Now, obviously, he's 0-0 as a college coach, and that all has to play itself out. But
he's
the
undefeated.
way the program has operated in this offseason, it couldn't have gone better. It literally could not have gone better. So that we'll see what happens moving forward. But everything to date has shown that they at least that they're on the right track.
Well, Mike, we're 2-0. If you take
yes.
So you got to include Bahamas, Mike. I mean, that's
but he still hasn't beaten a college team because that was pros, right? So that and so we know that Mike can coach against pros.
Right.
Decades of that,
right?
But I think it's going to go well. In conversations with people in college basketball in the media over the last 3-4 months, I've always said that I think Indiana has the potential to break through into what looks like a pretty solid group at the top of the Big Ten with Purdue, Michigan, et cetera. That Indiana is a program that has the ability to break through into that group. Now, obviously, they have to make sure they get the rotation right and all of that. But the talent is there, and the coach certainly knows how to win basketball games. So we'll see how it all comes together.
I know you're big into soccer with your coverage. World Cup, we talked about that a little bit ago. Indiana's team, again, rising to number 1 again. They win their opening game match last night, 1-0 over Xavier. So they're off to a great start. I think they traveled to Notre Dame this week. Soccer's back. Indiana's the number 1 team in soccer. Looking forward to that. I remember how it last year ended, though, and it still bothers me. That Marshall team that was just all international players. We had that discussion. And it always bothered me, man. It
still bothers you.
It does. I can't let go of it. I'm like going, oh. But
hey, it's up to the American players. Now, one of the challenges that that American colleges have relative to beating that team that is more international oriented is that a lot of the best young American players now aren't playing in college. And that, and it's understandable because the MLS academies are becoming very fruitful and they're feeding their players into their senior professional teams. Maybe a decade and a half ago, that didn't happen. The very few, if any, MLS teams had academies. There wasn't an incentive to develop those players in the way there is now. And so it made sense for players like Maurice Edu to go through college. And it worked out great for Maurice. He became a senior national team player. He's doing great now on Fox Sports as a game and studio analyst. He does a terrific job. That now is less common. And so it's harder to do it with all American-based players or mostly American-based players to win at the highest level. And it's that's something IU primarily does. That's where most of their recruiting contacts are, and they're doing a fantastic job. It's really cool to see them at number 1. And that's I think it's great for American soccer that IU is able to be that consistently good with the approach that they take.
Absolutely. You have a little more time off before things really get heated up for you?
Well, I mean, no, I came off of my vacation Sunday night.
Off. I shouldn't have said off because you're on. Yeah. You're always on, but
yeah, I came off of my vacation Sunday night, and even though that technically was still vacation, I watched the U.S. men's national team play their second World Cup qualifier and wrote about it yesterday about the problems that having such a young team engender. Everybody wants this to be easy, and I wrote a piece before I left for vacation that appeared last week. This is the most pressurized World Cup qualification tournament that the United States has ever played in, by far. Because 30 years ago, when the United States wasn't commonly qualifying, hardly anyone cared. Hardly anyone even knew it existed. And then once they started getting into it, then as they started to climb the ladder and qualify almost every time, there's always intense pressure because the margins are so narrow. But it wasn't like it is now because the U.S. missed in 2018. They didn't play in the World Cup. So all of that, every time they struggle now, everybody remembers they failed the last time. So that all gets dumped onto these guys, and they're mostly under 25. It's the youngest, most talented team the U.S. has ever fielded. So it's going to be hard, and people want it to be easy. And when it doesn't turn out to be easy, people want immediate solutions. Fire the coach, this, that, the other thing. Bring in all new players. You've got the wrong players. Everything. Remember, this U.S. team won 2 trophies this summer, and now all of a sudden the coach that won those 2 trophies doesn't know what he's doing. People don't take a realistic approach to the national team, and so that puts even more pressure on them. And so they go in tomorrow night. And I'll cover this for Sporting News as well. They go into Honduras tomorrow night to play their third qualifying game of what will be 14 total games. It's their third game in basically a week. That's a lot to handle. So they'll have to probably rotate some new players in. But you can't expect an automatic win every time they go out. Every team out there is trying. The margins in soccer are narrow. Some of both of the teams that they've played to date, El Salvador and Canada, played to tie. They didn't try to win. They'd take it if they could get it, but they played to tie. And when you play against a team that has that approach, sometimes it's hard to break that down.
Well, you can also consider, Mike, think about this, any type of national team. I can only imagine with soccer, they're not together year round.
Right.
And that's another factor. So you're talking about guys flying in from different places. You got to get acclimated to wherever you're at, practice schedule. I just got through playing against you in a probably heated match somewhere. Now I got to play your teammate. See, right? These are a lot of factors. I'm just going back off my younger days playing in like national kind of representing U.S. and Junior Olympics. It's a different element when, because you're not together every single week. But I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Charlie, you're 100% right. That takes trying to build that chemistry is really a challenge. And when you have a player like Weston McKennie, who was supposed to be a core player for the team, be suspended for Sunday's game against Canada, where he might have made a difference, and then he did not play again Wednesday against Honduras. He's been sent back to Italy, where he plays for Juventus in Turin. When that happens, it complicates matters even more.
Off. That's right. Your rotations. Yep. I can definitely do that.
Well, Mike, I know you got to get going because you've got a busy day. Got to get off and get rested from being rested.
Well, thanks very much, Jim. And it's great to see you again, Charlie. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, sir.
Buddy, we love having you. Thank you so much. Looking forward to next week as well. Make sure you give him a follow at the Sporting News. And we'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by the great folks at Remax Realty. Cheryl Sizemore. If you're needing a home in the Indianapolis area, give her a call or find her at Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Back with more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
Yeah, those situations, man, just sharing, like when you're talking about any type of national team, there's a lot of pressure on building chemistry right away and just because everyone's really the greatest of the greats in their state does not mean it's going to come that way when you're playing against other countries right away. So, yeah, I can only imagine, the pressure. We're talking about that pressure even on the IU players football-wise. After what Don said, and seems like about this is the best-looking team, and then Coach Allen said, well, who cares about how we look, right? And, I mean, it kind of like showed up.
The defense I still can't get over how the defense played. But they have a new DC, and I'm not blaming him, but
right.
He's had to. It's an unusual situation. Normally, when you bring in a coordinator, they're bringing their system and they're teaching their system what they do, and he was forced to adapt to the system that's here in place. He's having to learn a system, and I think there was some issues there. There was just no continuity. They were just too loose because last year they were just too good. And you've got 7 returning starters and a couple of transfers that are starting. So, yeah, a little trying to get back to this video I saw. Mark Titus. Charlotte won, beat Duke, man. How was your weekend, bro? How was your weekend, man?
That was relaxing. Didn't do much at all yesterday. We went swimming. My family just really took it easy.
Sounds relaxing. I took the day off and decided to work. No, I'm just kidding. We had press conferences yesterday and all that business. And Sunday drove back from Iowa. Monday was in Iowa. Or Saturday, whatever it was.
Yes, Saturday.
Let's see. IU retro football jerseys now up on Adidas site, $120.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much of that the players get.
Oh, is that's happening? Is that not because of NIL, right? Is that
well?
I don't know. Here, we got to come back in.
Well, these are retro jerseys. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. It is Tuesday. Short week for you coming off of Labor Day weekend. Hope you had a fun one. Enjoy it. It was beautiful. At least it was around here. Absolutely what you call Chamber of Commerce weather, Charlie. How was your weekend, man?
Weekend was great. It was relaxing. Didn't do much of we didn't do a whole lot. It was a little bit of court time. A lot of players were out of town, so I think it was really good. This is like the 3rd or 4th week of school that we've had here, so it's kind of like used to it. So it wasn't like, I think a lot of places, school just started today. After Labor Day, people normally start school. But it was a relaxing weekend, I could say.
Ross says he was curious this morning. He checked there are IU retro football jerseys are now up on the Adidas and Fanatics sites. $120 for those. I don't think that has anything to do with the NIL. That's just a retro jersey, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're selling jerseys with football names on them, players' names on them. I'm wondering about that.
You might find that locally, right? More so than you'll see something on a national scale like that.
Jennifer, being the smart person she is, has found there's a 30% off code for you. At least there was yesterday. Weekend was the code. Let's see. Bruce says, don't you think the coach has to love the school and the fans need to love their coach for a program to succeed and grow?
Love him more than
love them, but you've got to have respect, I think.
Yeah, and some buy-in, commitment, and a whole lot of wins. so it's a gumbo, right?
My answer was absolutely. See Archie Miller.
Yeah.
See how that program,
Yeah,
that situation worked. But waving the flag this morning. Hello to Glenn. And see, for some of the schools, it has to display heartfelt passion rather than just it being the job. Oh, the coach. Well, yeah. If your program is one that does not have tradition, you have to bring that energy. If you're a program that, trust me, if your program has tradition, I don't care if it's football, basketball, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The coach doesn't need to do anything but provide a winning program.
Well, and that's where vision comes in, right? Every coach, from what I've heard, when you're talking about a head coach, assistant coach, they come in, they provide their vision to athletic directors. Here's what I see, what's going on now. Here's what we can do with the proper support. So I think that vision is what you're trying to reverse engineer and play out as much as possible. But it takes the right people being put in place.
Yeah, as I thought, those jerseys have no names on them. So there you go. Tony says he thinks the defense played well enough to win. I don't know about that. Some mistakes, but overall solid enough. That loss lays at the feet of the Indian offense, particularly the O-line. Well, I'll agree with you there. Well, no, not just that. Michael Penix was horrible. I just have to be honest. He's a great kid and a great quarterback, but he was horrible. I mean, it's like Charlie going out and shooting 3 for 23. He's great. He's All-American, but in that particular game, he sucked. I mean, you have games where you just suck. It just happens.
And if you don't own your suckiness, you're going to ignore it, and it's going to eat you. And that's not true.
You can't fix it, and you can't fix it.
You can't, and the only way is you have to say next play, next game, where were those mistakes at? Now I didn't watch the game, but just looking at the highlights, I don't know how. Again, if the defense scored, Iowa's defense scored 20 points, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the offense scored 16. So how bad was
six,
right? How bad was not us? I'm talking about Iowa.
Oh, their offense. Yeah.
Right. It was they scored. So how bad was the ball? Well, momentum I think was on Iowa's side. If you think about football, I mean, you're just managing the clock now with that type of lead, and that's only putting pressure more on the offensive side, especially a quarterback, because you're thinking about trying to get all that back in one possession, which probably led to further down spiral of those forced passes, the ball being tipped. Who knows why you couldn't catch them, right? So I can only imagine all those things, right? And then you need to sit down, calm down, and you hope that doesn't lead until the next game against Idaho.
And I will agree with Tony. Had the offense not given up 20 points,
right? Yeah, man.
And you go the other way, and had they scored,
right.
Not even 20 points, but just scored and been productive and kept Iowa's defense on the field longer, it would have changed things.
Exactly right. I mean, I'm just going off of Iowa's defense now scored 20 points. The game is 16-6. Well, we still need to score a touchdown, right? We still need to punch it in, with some good offense, from running and passing. So I definitely understand what he's saying.
Yesterday, I spoke with, we had all the press conferences with Coach Allen, Mike Penix, all the coordinators, whatnot. But Nick Sheridan, John, if you want to pull that clip up that we pulled from that question that I asked, I talked to him about the game plan going in, because I know there's a lot that goes into making a football game plan. You've got a ton of scouting numbers that you look at, down distance scenarios. You've got to prepare for all these different scenarios, and you have your plan going in. And to just scrap that in the game, it's hard because now you're just winging it. But sometimes you have to do that. What they were doing, was it working? I don't know if it was the play calling or if it was Michael being off, but he was way off. When he threw his third interception, I remember tweeting out, because he had a ton of open field in front of him. and looked like he was going to run. He was running, and then at the last second, he decides to force to a guy who wasn't even looking at him, who had no chance to catch the ball. I mean, I think the defender was shocked that he threw that ball.
Heck, that was a heck of a catch from the defender.
Well, he was shocked that he threw the ball. He's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But that moment of hesitation is what really has given me pause for, okay, where's Michael in his head? Was that just because they pounded in his head so much? Don't run, don't run, don't run. But also, this is a guy that hasn't been hit since
2 years.
He got knocked out of the Maryland game. I mean, he didn't get knocked out of it, but since he played the Maryland game, that's the last time he was hit. And so I don't know. I can't, I'm not in his head, and I guess he's a tremendous athlete. He could bounce back right this week. But that was the mental part. That's probably the toughest part to fix of anything. Fundamentals, you can fix those. The mental aspect is the hardest thing because you can't tweak it. You can't turn a wrench on it. You can't practice it. It's on you, man.
John said the clip is ready.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that conversations were had throughout the game on how to try to best move the ball and help him get into a rhythm. We didn't help by giving them points on offense. You know, you throw 2 big sixes, your chances of winning the football game, doesn't matter who you're playing, I mean, dramatically decrease. So, you know, that was kind of the flow of the game. You know, we got behind so early, and it was our fault. We were responsible for that. So, you know, at that point in time, you know, you're trying to get back into the game, and you know, throwing 5-yard completions sometimes is harder to do that. So that's just kind of how it went. And there were some completions that were there that we didn't hit. You know, some underneath routes to some receivers that you're expecting a little bit more production in that play. And we got to get that out of them as coaches. We got to make sure that they understand the scheme, they can execute the play fast, and regardless if it's a short or underneath throw or an intermediate or deeper pass. So there's definitely conversations throughout the game on how to best try to attack them and get yourself back into the game. But when you throw 2 interceptions for big sixes, you throw a third and gives them a field goal. And obviously, not all of those were Michael's fault. You know, I need to make sure that we understand the schemes and can execute, take care of the football. You get a tip pass early in the game. I mean, sometimes those things happen, but if you turn the ball over the way we did Saturday, it won't matter who we're playing. So, you know, that's my responsibility. But it's a fair question. You get down like we did, you're looking for any answer you can to try to get yourself back into the game. And sometimes in trying to do that, you got to force the ball down the field maybe more than you'd like.
Nick Sheridan, the offensive coordinator, he's owning up to it, and you have to. And I'm not saying the play calling was bad, but the game plan, there just has to come a time where you have to be able to adjust. They really did not expect him to perform that poorly. And I guess they were as shocked as we were because I was at halftime. I think they should have pulled Michael. Someone asked that a minute ago, where I don't want to miss that question, wherever it was. But I think that they should have. Normally, I don't say that. There we go. The question: should he have pulled? I think he should have pulled him at the half. It wasn't working. You could tell. And Jack Tuttle played all last year. He's played more recently than Michael has. He's used to taking the hits. He's been taking hits. I think there was a point there to where you say, hey, man, we got to try to salvage this here real quick and get by it. And that didn't happen. And I really think that they should have, but that's just a difference in philosophy.
Yeah, they stuck with him. I mean, and probably look to give him some encouragement because that was probably needed. You pull a guy like who hadn't played in 2 years, you pull him too quick. Again, mentality-wise, we don't know how he will react, how he respond. You know, now you got question marks going into the second half. I think you pulled him when you needed to. What else you had to lose other than to try to get some rhythm, some reps, and possessions? Just didn't work out.
Yeah, Scott says the O-line, wide receivers, and Penix were poor. Says the OC has been a question mark since the old Riverboat gambler Kevin Wilson. Well, not with Kalen DeBoer, it wasn't. But see, that's another issue. and I don't want to go down that, but so Nick Sheridan's got to improve. You know, he's in his second season as an OC. He's got to get better, but he's got to get better fast. Indiana has an opportunity here. They have an opportunity to change the perception of Indiana football.
That's right.
Last Saturday was not a good look. And if they follow that up with another egg or two, everybody is just going to say, same old Indiana. For the fan base, that's not good, but worse, recruiting. The kids that are seeing this are like, no, they're like, well, wait a minute now. Is this really hype or not hype? But so they've got to get it turned around. Not saying that they can't, but there's so many different reasons why you need to get that done.
It's true. And you hope you hope against a team like Idaho, who's gonna come in, probably excited after a 68-0 win. I don't care who you play. You're gonna be ready to play that next opponent that following week.
Hey, we got plenty more coming back here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Make sure you go to andymorehonda.com. Order your Honda now. You can get it. It'll be ready and waiting for you. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans. Holy McGinney. Man, 6 to 7 days a week from now till April.
Hey, man, you get after it. But, it's a couple hours. I'm not, again.
Well, that's for this.
I know. Right. And then there's other things, right?
Oh, yeah. Then there's press conferences. Then there's events.
Yeah.
And lots of other stuff that goes on in between.
Yeah, and I can only imagine, man, because I tell people all the time, like, it's like a tale of two Charlies when I'm at camp. 18 hours, 3 days, you're just talking the whole time. Camp ends, it's like, I don't want to talk.
See,
I don't want to say anything.
Dude, I am the same way.
I don't want to say, like, I'm on a plane, like, I'm like, home, you okay? Great. I'm giving 2, 3 word sentences. I do not want to talk. I've been talking.
I'm gone. I'm like, don't even. I'll be in a car with somebody for 5 hours and cannot say a word.
I don't want to hear myself.
And love it.
Exactly. So it's like, anyway, I see Tim says, Charlie, how do you not watch the game? Well, I don't watch TV.
Charlie's busy, man. Charlie be busy.
Yeah, I don't. Like, and it's like, what if you're constantly watching games, stimuli? I don't watch nothing. I'm trying to keep my head clear.
Let's see. Who's up next? What is today? Tuesday?
We don't. Well, normally it'd be Chronic, but he sent that message to us earlier.
Oh, that's right. So this is the Charlie hour, baby.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Oh man, so
we still got more. We'll have more clips as well. Correct?
Yeah, all the ones we had from yesterday.
Yeah, but like for this, you can always pull those from the IU site.
Hey, I think it'd be cool to probably venture to talk about. I saw the preseason polls came out, and they had IU basketball finish 7th in the Big Ten. I think that's pretty interesting. I think that's something to talk about.
Oh yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
Well, that plus fanfare, and just for me, just really being patient with the team. But yeah, just a thought.
Oh, that's perfect. No, it's absolutely perfect.
Right,
that does a couple. Yeah, because I can.
And on 86th Street in Indy, have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. It is Tuesday. Man, we're already 2/5 into the week, Charlie.
That's right. Looking forward to it.
Oh, man. I'm looking forward to Friday already. Let's see. We'll make sure we get through all these questions. Look at Forrest. Traveled from Georgia up to B-Town.
Nice.
You picked a nice time to be there. Here's something very, very cool. BTN debuts the George Taliaferro documentary tonight.
Nice.
Definitely make sure you check that out. George Taliaferro, of course, the first African-American drafted into the NFL. Is that right?
From IU, right?
No.
Oh, it's first. Oh, first. Okay.
I think he was the first African-American drafted into the NFL, period.
Okay.
There were other, but I think that's how that goes. But he was on the same 1945. If you ever come to Bloomington, if you don't live in Bloomington, there's a place called the Alley Bar. Little bitty, not a big place, but it is a local spot, mixed in all the other places right off the square on Kirkwood, actually, on the west side. But they've got this gigantic photo in there. It is probably 5 feet tall and 10 feet long.
Wow.
I mean, it's big. And it is a photo from the old 17th Street Stadium of, I guess it was, I don't know if it was just some of the stars are on that team. George Taliaferro, they're 1945 Big Ten champions. I think they were 9-0. But you got George Taliaferro on there. You have Ted Kluszewski on that team. Ted Kluszewski became famous because he was an unbelievable baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, he just had a record broken by Joey Votto. He was one of several Reds to have hit home runs in 5 consecutive games until Votto just beat that mark. But
yeah, he was the first. Yeah, I just looked that up. He was the first African American drafted. That's pretty.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
and if you haven't watched movies like 42, and to imagine what it was like, obviously I don't. Charlie's got a much better perspective on that, but the guys that did that went through those, that broke through those walls, Jackie Robinson, George Taliaferro, I cannot even begin to imagine how hard that was. Playing the game was hard enough. That wasn't the hard part, man. That was the easiest thing that they did in a day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you take that in consideration, that was because when you on the field, the colors blurred because it's all about playing as a team. And you may have ideologies, but it's now you're banding together. And my son said this, man, it's like he's 5 and I have no idea where he came from. He actually played his first football game, and it's so fitting. A flag football game, they won. They got killed the week before. And he said profoundly, you know what? One person can't win a game, but together you can win. I'm like, first of all, where'd that come from at 5? But that's the mentality, right? Who cares, black, white, whatever. And I'm more than certain that's what he probably experienced from a lot of people who gave him a lot of support. And then now you are the first African American to be drafted to play football. That's amazing. Just the little kids who came up, who became Hall of Famers. Look at what the beacon, the hope they had, and what followed that to become the Lawrence Taylors and the Reggie Whites. Just think about that, knowing their history and who opened that door up for them. And he came from Bloomington.
The saddest part is they don't get to enjoy that.
Yeah, true.
They did the labor. It was the sweat off of their back, but they didn't get to enjoy that. But great to see that honor, and I can't wait to see that. So looking forward to that. And thank you very much, Ross, for reminding us of that. Looking forward to that. Matt talking about this weekend says, I think it's just what the doctor ordered. Iowa is on the road, a tough matchup. Let's eat up some taters. Yeah, Iowa heading to Iowa State, brother. That's going to be a tough game. Indiana was just what Iowa needed.
Right.
Iowa played just solid.
2 turnovers. I mean, that's 20 yards. That's pretty good.
Fumbles. They were fumbles. That if you were in a close game, those would have been bad. But you turned it over to a team who couldn't do anything with it.
That's right. That's right.
And Indiana was bad in every aspect of the game. It seemed. Punting. Everything was not going well for Indiana. Special teams, which is unusual. You guys still there? I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did. I lost the.
We're still here. No sweat. Still here.
But yeah, they were just every aspect of the game. They weren't good, and it's a first game of the season, but it was Iowa's first game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So you really don't have an excuse. You know who you're going to play. You're going down on the road, and their punter was a new punter. Actually, had never punted in the game. He's from down under, so this was his first experience into that. And I can imagine 80,000 people. It's a loud environment in Iowa. So they got some stuff to get over. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, they can get past that and still. An 8-4 season is going to be tough. This schedule just got even much tougher,
right?
Because you have a Michigan State team that is obviously much better than they were a year ago. You have a Michigan team that looks to be better than they were a year ago. Penn State is going to be great, of course, and Ohio State. Those are just 4 games that you have yet to play in your own division. Then you have Minnesota coming over from the West, who looked pretty good for 3 quarters against Penn State, and will probably get better. Then you have a Purdue game that is on the road. So, and that doesn't even include Cincinnati. So there's 7 games coming up that are really, really, really tough games.
Well, you're playing a top 25 schedule, right? I mean, you
better than that.
You play, I would say you're probably playing a top 8 to 10 schedule, and so every week it's going to be important. Everyone's on deck as far as studying and preparing and getting ready to play and playing by the possessions.
Next man up, right?
Yeah, it better be. It better be.
But those 7 games, if Indiana played like they did last weekend, those are 7 games that they could really lose. And I hate to say that, but you've got to go to Michigan. You've got to go to Penn State. If you thought 70,000 fans were rough, wait till you get to 100 and 110.
That's right.
It is exponentially louder. I've been to Michigan. It is the loudest place on the planet Earth I've personally been in. It is just it's below grade.
That's right.
And 110,000 people, and it is loud. And they haven't been winning. So you give them a taste of winning, you're waving red meat in front of a tiger, man.
That's right.
You can't let a crowd like that get into it because, man, they can sure take you away.
That's right.
Let's see what time. I want to make sure we have time to talk about what you had brought up. Did we already hit that? No, the preseason Big Ten finish. Or let's wait till the next break so we can take the entire break for that.
You're good if you want to go the next 8-10 minutes before taking another break. You're good if you want to go ahead and bring that up. It's up to you.
Let's hit some more of these comments. Tim Lazich joining us. Thank Tim. Nice to see Iowa defense was the real deal. Penix didn't have a lot of time. Nope, he didn't, but he had enough time. He didn't hit his reads. He just wasn't there. So I'm not giving the O-line a
that's right.
Man, Caleb Jones, probably one of the worst games of his career. He had 3 penalties. And 2 of those were just simple procedures, but those 5-yard penalties are game changers, man. They stop momentum. They change the scenario. They change everything in football. It's a big deal. And he had 3. That's just – you can't have an offensive lineman making 3 mental mistakes like that. When I saw that stuff happening, I'm like, man, they just can't get into a rhythm. But Iowa's defense is good. Their secondary is freaking amazing. They were all over the IU receivers, but I guess that's gonna, man. Tom Allen's gonna have some questions. I tweeted that out, I think last night maybe, that Michael Penix has got to show improvement this week, or Tom Allen is going to have a dilemma on his hands with Cincinnati coming into town. You can't know that the number 17 is coming in and your offense is continuing to struggle, and you have another quarterback that played last year. It's going to get tough. I could have never foreseen this scenario. I will be completely honest with you. There is no way I would have thought that in game 2 I would be talking about the potential of Michael Penix needing to be replaced if his play was like it was last week.
Well, you're hoping that there's an identification that can happen. And I mean, you really have, you said this is a short week. So, in the football world, you play Saturday, you're probably off Sunday, you probably were off Monday, light day, you're back at it today. So you really only have about 4 days to prepare. You're not really going full pads. So it's going to be a lot of walkthroughs, not going to be a lot of contact with the players that probably need that contact to prepare for the game. So you hope that they're getting enough reps mentally and physically to be ready to play on Saturday.
James thinks that we all know what the problem was. No one wants to say it. I think say it, but I'm not sure what it.
Well,
lay it out there, man. I don't know exactly what you're saying because there were multiple problems. I assure you, multiple problems. The O-line was not good. The quarterback was not good. So those were the two. Yeah. And Nick Sheridan was not good. He's the first one. He took responsibility for that.
Yeah, and I'm only going off of if you also look at it, the team is not good. No, it's early. I mean, that's the first game. I mean, you really can't put too much on that.
Exactly, and it was a rough environment, but Iowa was ready. Yeah. So you've known for a long time that you had that game, but it is what it is. They've got to move forward, and they've got to respond to that, and that's all they have to do. You can't change it. It's in the book. It's never going to change. It is there. So switching to we're going to wait till the next segment to talk about some hoops, but that'll be the first one we lead off with. But Jesse says not sure what the deal was Saturday, but IU just didn't look ready or prepared at all. And that's my exact sentiment on how I felt. I'm like, wow, they just did not look. And again, the defense, I get it with the offense. Penix coming off the injury, this, that, and the other thing. I didn't expect them to look that horrible, but the defense, they weren't bad, but they were just off. They didn't get pressure on the quarterback. That allowed the receivers to have more of a cushion. And you had a quarterback for Iowa and Petrus that he just managed the game. He didn't make mistakes, Charlie. He didn't turn the ball over. If he was a basketball player, he was just running the offense. He was hitting the guys he needs to hit, not turning the ball over and running the floor. And he did it well. And he did his job well.
I looked at the stats, and you look at the stats, you don't really see anything other than those turnovers that were converted to 6 points for Iowa. Like if you look at the time of possession, you look at the first downs, you look at yards rushing, receiving, it looked pretty even. It was the turnovers, the big, and there was actually no downs after the turnovers because they scored. That's insurmountable pressure, and that's another amount of pressure on. You talk about those penalties. That's more because, again, we got to now get it back, and we got to score. And you don't have any rhythm. And that's now you just got more of a domino effect going on.
I agree with you, man. We got to take a break. We've got more. We're going to talk some hoops when we come back. Someone was asking Charlie can still get up. We'll get to that and much more. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. If you're down in the Clarksville area, Southern Indiana, stop in. The food is tremendous, I assure you. We're back with more at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking
It's interesting that person asked that question. As I'm turning 45 on September 26th, and what I want to do,
dunk till you're 50.
Well, yeah, and I'm gonna talk about it more. Man, I was dunking at 12, Jim. I don't know why.
Oh, shut up, man.
So I'm gonna talk about it.
I could barely. I'm gonna say that line. It's a good one.
So that's one of those things. I don't know. It's like, you know how you said that one football player never played golf, started playing.
Oh, Josh Hoover.
So, you know, we'll talk about it. But yeah.
Hoover's the IU quarterback.
Yep.
Hey, look up his stats, John, because he threw for 700-something yards in his first 2 games.
All right, I'll give it a look here in a sec.
I want to send you that dunk if I can, John.
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll see if I can get it uploaded.
Okay, bro. Let me see if I can send it.
You're dunking at 12?
No, I don't think there was any cell phones around back then. Oh, man, I don't have it. Do I have it? It got deleted. Who cares? I don't have it. If you, John, I'm not sure if I know how you.
Hey, Paula. Oh, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I got my earphones on. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got Josh Hoover's stats right in front of me right now.
Yeah, I've got Josh Hoover's stats right in front of me right now.
Yeah, I don't sound like that, so.
That. Hey, John.
Yeah.
If you can cue this up, that'd be great.
Are you able to send it to me?
No, here's a link. I'm looking to find it.
You can play it because I can hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to do that. We got about.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's fine.
Okay.
Come on. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Sam's Family of Restaurants. Fresh, local, family. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday post Labor Day. Why do they close the pools on Labor Day?
Your pool got closed?
Oh, they close all the pools in this part of the country, at least around here. Like if you're out at like apartment complexes or things like that, or they always close the pool. It's Labor Days when they always close pools up here. And I'm like, why you got to do it? Why not wait till the end of September? I mean, it's just because there's so many good days. You're like, for the next 3 weeks, there's going to be so many days people are like, man, we could be out of the pool today. But, oh, well, who cares? What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Charlie Miller, Matt asked,
Yes,
can you still get up and dunk? Your left-handed hammer dunk was one of my favorite from memory. I am trying to remember who it was against. Purdue, top 10 IU dunk for sure.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember that play and how much do you remember what we're talking about?
I remember the play before that. I remember exactly what it was. A timeout. Coach Knight drew up a play.
Who were
one
you
of
playing?
the very few plays that
Was
he
it
drew
Purdue?
up. It was against Purdue. Same game talking about. And Conzo Martin was guarding me, and he was giving me the left. And who knows?
Why are you going to give Charlie Miller the left for?
He was taking away the middle, right? And he was forcing things to the baseline, whatever. So we actually ran a cross screen for Henderson. And we were successful that play. Bounce pass entered. Allen got it and dunked it. And coming down the court, we were looking to run that same set. And Konzo, I mean, he really angled. He gave me a good angle. And I saw good friend of mine now. He's an assistant coach at Purdue. He was guarding Allen, and when he turned his head, I was looking at the help side defender. He turned his head, Jim. I saw like green pastures, dude. I just freaking took off, and momentum, man. And I just took off, and it was a heck of a dunk, right? I mean, it was. It was a heck of a dunk, and that was my freshman year. And I talked about that game, Jim, last week or two, about playing at Purdue. That same, not even 2 weeks prior, played against Purdue at Purdue. Konzo Martin shot like some insane number of free throws. I mean, I would say upwards of like almost 20 free throws. I mean, it was like some insane number. So there was a lot of, I would say for me, a lot of juice being ready back home playing against Purdue. And that was actually one of my best games as a freshman. I scored 21 points, and that dunk, it was like what people consider one of the top 10 dunks that ever happened at Assembly Hall.
What year was that?
95. Yep, 95.
I'm wondering.
And actually, what I'm doing is I'm looking for it. If you guys,
I'm looking for. I'm trying to find it.
I have the game.
Was it where was it here or there?
It was home. We were home at Assembly Hall.
Well, I've got the game. There's a Jake Layman dunk versus who's Jake Layman? Oh, that's not an Indiana game.
No, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it.
You got it pulled up?
Queue it up. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to queue it up as a.
When was it in the game?
That's what I'm looking for. Second half. I knew it was second half. And let's see.
This is while we're radio, we're trying to find a clip of a dunk Charlie had down in back in the day against the Boilermakers. He's had it pulled up. He's got to put. I'm also looking. I'm trying to find it visually over here as I'm looking, but I'll have to do that later. It's man, it is so funny to go back and watch those old games, even though they're in the Assembly Hall, they're in the same place. It doesn't look different, but it looks different. I don't know if it's because it's Bob Knight era and there are some differences to the setup and all that, but yeah, it's still funny watching. Well, I guess maybe it's the old stanza of the goals, how they used to be kind of arc up from the floor, which I think I saw them out in the parking lot the other day when I was going to a press conference.
Right.
Ironically, they're hanging from the wall, aren't they?
Well, you also got to think about, this is that 1990s Sunday at noon CBS game, right? Where, those games were always big games for me in a sense as a player, because you were the only game that kicked off the games that morning, pretty much a lot of places. Well, that 11 o'clock tip-off game in the morning. But yeah, to answer this question, man, my first dunk was at 12, and I can't tell you why. I don't know. I was able to dunk. I remember being at pep rallies, gym in jeans, doing 360s.
Man, I could barely dunk a donut at 12.
Yeah, I just thought that was the thing to do, right? I mean, I probably was every bit of 6'3", so you had to be a little athletic. I didn't call it that back in the day. But being able to dunk, I was being able to dunk at 12, man. You develop from that standpoint.
I've got that game running off the side, hoping that it'll get my attention. But what I did just see is Todd Lindemann.
Yeah.
Dude was strong. And I was like, wow, man, somebody just fed him a pass down low and he just got fouled and scored. But I'm like, dude was strong, man. Big boy, had to go up against
we called Todd's nickname was Slats.
Slats. What was that from?
Slats. Who knows? Big slap, man. Yeah, Tom was a big guy, man. Oh man, here it is. The play I'm talking about. Is there a way to get to my computer? I don't know if I can play it.
Or you can send John the link.
So yeah, if you don't want to send me the link, I don't know what your StreamYard shows you, but there's a way you can share your screen in the bottom of your. At least there's an option on mine where you can share your screen. I can't do it for you, but you might have it on yours as well.
And we'll do that. And
is this your dunk we're looking for?
Yeah, you guys. Okay, and we'll share the entire screen.
Yes, sir.
Is it?
And then you'll have to add it to the stream. I can't see it on mine because it's your screen. There we go. I'm seeing it now.
Okay, you see my screen?
There we go. Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
You see that?
Oh yeah, here we go.
All right. So we just that's the play I'm talking about to Allen, right? You see that play?
Oh, now he was strong.
Play. That's the play that led to it. So, here's a defensive sequence. Here I'm commenting the game. I'm guarding Herb Dove. Is that a foul, travel? Who knows? But just look at just like Michael Herman, he played only 1 year. Here's a play right here. Right? Look at that. I'm going to pause it, kind of give some analysis, right? So here it is. Good defense, but this is what I was looking at. If you see my mouse, right? I think that's Justin Jennings. He turned his head, and there's a good cross screen from Steve Hart to Allen. And Allen, did what Allen does best. Oh man, field. Allen has that's a great. Great positioning, great play. Bounce pass came in, and I believe it's coming up after this.
A great screen out block.
Yeah, we're going back. Old school IU, right? Here it is, right here.
Turnover.
So, set up.
Who commits a turnover?
Yeah, set up. No, here it is. I think it's Neil. Neil passed me the ball. Coming down the court. Let's see if this is it. All right, here it is right here. Yep. Pause. Same play. Look at the defender here. You see my mouse?
He's got his back turned to you.
He got his back turned. And see, that's what I was looking for. When I saw that, I realized there's no way because he's so deep in the paint because of what we did last play. Here it is. Rip. Dunk.
Right. I bet you that feels so good right now to watch that.
Going back again, just film study. We're watching film, man. This is literally like what I'm teaching players now. Play in the moment, play possessions, give what the defense offers you, and that's exactly what it was. Right? It was we ran a great outside inside play that caused them to make adjustments to play tighter. We're running the same set. We were successful. And I just broke the play. Right? I broke the play. Let's get that play back coming up.
Oh,
Did I skip it?
Dude, I wish. I just went full screen on it and just watched it. For those that are on radio, it's probably not as fun, but we're enjoying an old school clip on the YouTube portion of the show from Charlie throwing down the big left-handed tomahawk.
I'm hoping I can go right there. Let me back it up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Coaching strategy.
Yeah, little coaching strategies going on. Play, decent defense coming up. Again, same play. And again, you don't forget these days. Again, the play before that, the pass entry. I'm going to pause it right here. Look, now you see what Conzo Martin did? You see how high he came out to meet me? Because of what we did before, right? And that was a good rip. That was a decent rip to my left side. He gave me space. My teaching point for people out there, you got to win the first two steps. That's the key to basketball. Win the first two. I won the first two steps. Look at how occupied the defenders are because of the screening we did and Allen's attention to dunk the ball before. And here I come again. Pause it right there. That moment right there was a moment of truth.
Who's the guy to your left that was still guarding Allen, I guess?
It was Brandon Redley. It was Brandon.
He wouldn't turn around for nothing, man. I think he would have followed Allen to the popcorn stand.
Well, exactly, and that's because Allen got a dunk to play before. And look at my mouth wide open right there. You can't that exhilaration right there. Oh. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. You see the banner. I'm on CBS. I was going crazy in my mind. I'm on national TV. I'm a freshman. I just had the best dunk ever. And that just led to an overzealous defensive stance right here, as you probably see. As I swat the guy right here, that foul was all just passion. It was all like just giddy. You know, Brian Evans is in my ear.
You're just jacked.
I was gone, man.
Now, how long does that last? Yeah, and
you got to think about that, right? That play. You got 20,000 people up screaming. The goosebumps are just out of this world. That play lasted for a long time, and it was momentum I think we needed because a dunk is like a charge on the defensive side, right? It just energizes everybody. And you couldn't draw it up any better as far as what we did to play before that led to an opportunity to have that opening, right? And I just took advantage of it.
Yeah, earlier I said 17th Street Stadium. I meant 10th Street. My bad, Forrest. Yeah, Matt says he was at that game, man.
Yeah.
But he thanks for breaking that stuff down. No, and you know what? We'll look when the season rolls around. We'll be able to do a lot more of this stuff.
Yeah.
But right now, it's a lot more fun to look at these because it was a lot more fun going on back then.
Yeah.
Man, just watch
the opportunity, man. That was pretty cool.
You got Brian Evans on that team. Come on.
No, hey, man, listen, you had Brian, you had Allen, rest in peace. You had Neil Reed. Neil's shoulder was out of place. He played a heck of a game, played through a lot of pain. That was a game that was much needed, similar to what, it was almost like a bounce back game. We had a tough game or two against Purdue, and you followed back up to play as you were reversing, kind of going back to playing your Big Ten schedule against the teams you played twice, home and away. So that was a really big. We needed that win. We needed that game. It was a really big game for us.
Did I just see you get called for a charge, man? Let's see. You had another one.
Yeah. Okay. So it was weird. So here it is. Similar play. They called it a bang bang play, right? It was a bang bang play, right? So here it is. I get called for a charge, and they scored, and they allowed me to score the point. That was like weird. So it was
it was a horrible call because you committed the foul before the ball was even out of your hand.
Well, right, but it was
the ball has to be released.
But it was like confusing. Like how does that happen?
If you release the ball and then charge, they will count the basket.
So that's what happened.
But you didn't release the ball yet.
Yeah.
You charged first and then you released the ball, so they shouldn't have given you the basket.
Who knows? Home cooking, probably. Who knows, right?
Well, the worst call I have ever seen took place in Assembly Hall. I think it was 2015. Thomas Bryant, Caleb Swanigan, Purdue, Indiana game. They call a and the game is on the line. They call a block charge. There is no such thing.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no such thing. You cannot. That was the most gutless call by an officials I've ever seen in my life. That was just gutless. You got to call one or the other, man. If you're going to make a call, it's got to be one or the other. It cannot be a block and a charge.
Yeah.
That is the most idiotic. And to make that ruling, it was simultaneous. Nope. Sorry. You got to take a stand. You got to take a stand. Who made the initial call? And just that one drove. There are certain things that just stick in my mind and drive me nuts. What reason I don't know, because you can't do a damn thing about it. But
that's funny.
But
I want to respond to Matt. Matt, I appreciate you for acknowledging that, because he said, great breakdown. The play before set that up. And Matt, I'm going to tell you something. 20 plus years in, I didn't see it that way back when I was younger, right? You just thought you had an opportunity, but you didn't realize the success of the play before that actually set that up. And I mean, that's what better way now to share that even message with my players this week, look at how when you're playing, how if you're successful playing outside in, you can have things set up. So that's perfect.
Michael Music, if that's your real name, I'm assuming it is, since you got Jay in front of it. He says you may remember him. He enjoyed. He got to work with you back in '96 at one of Coach Knight's camps. I'm sure that he would remember your face if he saw you. But how many kids do you remember working with? Not remember, but I mean, were there over your 4 years at IU? I mean, each summer you've got so many.
Well, you know what? And
thanks, Michael, for following us. We appreciate you.
96 was when you say work camp. I mean, we would show up, right? And we would be in the dorm selling candy and Gatorade. That's how we worked the camp. But then I believe 97.
But you were doing that for the school, right?
Well, yeah, it was for the camp. It was.
But you all at least got paid for that, right?
Yeah, because that's kind of what you did, the
summer job, something like a summer job.
But you had your summer jobs at Bloomington Tire. I was running auto parts and tires. I'm for real. I was running auto parts, going to car dealerships. But those, I'm listening to you. Go ahead. No,
I got something else I'm writing down to ask you later.
Yeah. It was like, so working for Bloomington Tire, for a couple weeks or whatever before you give an excuse to see why you can't work anymore. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And there's a cool story I want to share after break, because there's actually somebody I met at camp, and as I was just kind of being me funny about the senior, I was keeping some of the campers up at night. We were making prank calls. And to this day, one of them is a really good friend of mine. And I'm going to talk about the impact we've had on each other's lives over the last 20-something years.
Charlie, Matt says if he can find his ticket stuff from that game, he's going to send it to you. He has all his stuffs from the 92 through 96 games.
That's fair. I appreciate it, Matt. I thank you for thinking about me that way. Thank you.
You know what you could do with that? You could put that on, you could englazen that on the spot on that piece of court that you have.
You got it. Yeah,
right there.
Yeah,
or you could put a little mark for every. If you could pick out maybe your top 10 moments. You could put a little flag on each spot there.
I like where you're going with that.
Hey, we got more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by Sam's Restaurants. Multiple locations around the Indianapolis area and at the Golf Club house at Eagle Point. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
Yeah, I'm distracted sitting here watching this game. I'm just letting that thing run.
That was such a cool segment. That was such the only I worry about.
You just got your third personal foul, man. Look, they missed the free throws, though.
Yeah.
How the hell that go in? But it is just fun watching these games.
Yes, man.
It's fun watching the play. And to watch this again over and over, and to know that there were never – oh, man, that was just bad. Bad pass. I don't know if that was you. You just got stealing and they gave up a deuce. It's so hard to believe that with no set plays, this offense was so fast.
And you don't realize
it's fast. It is fast offense.
You don't realize the genius of that until I became a coach. And I thought it was me, Jim, on saying things like, don't teach players how to play. And that's what Coach Knight did. He taught us how to play, right? And it's endless possibilities with no ball screens. No ball screens. Not one ball screen you'll ever see watching at least a team back in Coach Knight's era. Not saying it's wrong. The game has evolved, right? But no ball screens, playing without the basketball. If you dribbled, I mean, it wasn't a rule from Coach Knight. That's just pretty much the way we played. It was 3 or 4 dribbles max, and you passed to put somebody else in position to promote scoring.
All right, that was the last one, the turnover. But after the turnover, it was a great play. I'm going to watch this again.
Yeah. Hey, John, you got to send that clip to me, man. That breakdown of.
Yeah, I was gonna. It'll be on YouTube for one. We're gonna put it on YouTube later.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you personally as well.
Please, appreciate that, man. That's big time. You were saying something, John. I didn't want to miss.
Oh yeah. So the one thing I worry about sometimes it may not be a big deal with the fact that it's an older video.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's a CBS video, sometimes they do copyright stuff, and I don't know that they will with that particular thing. Usually, it's when we just play a straight up clip of something that just happened.
It's already on. It's
somebody
already
random on YouTube. That's kind of how I found out.
If it's on YouTube, it's already on there.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
It's random. It was random. It wasn't like archived from. Yeah, it's random.
Like it wasn't on like a CBS YouTube.
No. I'll send you the actual link so you have. Sweet. You can actually see.
All right.
Yeah,
it's a few seconds coming back in.
Yeah.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Happy Tuesday. I hope you're up and at it, ready to get into this short week. Charlie Miller with us today, as normally on Mondays, but we had the change up this week. Kevin Brockway will be here on Friday. What are we looking at there?
My camera. There we go.
Oh no, I thought that was a clip.
No. No, my camera. There we go.
I still got this old Purdue Indiana game going from 1995. I just let it roll. But it was on February 12th. That was my birthday, man. It's my birthday.
Oh wow, there we go.
A lot of Purdue games end up on my birthday, I've seen. Yeah. But this may have been the last time Indiana beat Purdue.
Pretty. Let's see.
No, it's kidding. Yeah. It's been 9 games. They've lost 9 games straight.
Okay.
That ends this year, and I think Indiana can beat them at home.
Yeah.
They're not going to beat them on the road, I don't think. But I think that they could surprise a lot of teams this year, because even watching this, it's hard for the offense not to stand out because of how precise it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. I'm using the word precise.
Right.
It's kind of like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing.
Right.
It's precise, but there is no design.
You just said it. And that's really, it's no thing. If you break down nothing, it's no thing. And that's the key. It's no thing. You can't define it. You can't game plan for it, because the simple options are, if you're switching too soon, slip. You are the second cutter. Split the difference, right? You can't. So you can't really game plan for it, because it's almost like what they called back in the day UNLV. It was like an amoeba offense. You really can't define what you're doing.
Yeah, watching those. And then the defense, and that is why I think that Indiana will find some success this year.
Right.
Number one, because Mike Woodson has really focused on defense, and obviously it is carrying over pretty effectively. We saw what they were able to do in the Bahamas defensively. Right. Man, that's ahead of the game. I did not I was shocked to see how poorly Indiana's football defensive team was this past weekend. I was as surprised to see Indiana's basketball team be that good defensively that early, because man, that's bad news for some teams. If Indiana, if they're going to play really good defense, they've got a lot of talent on that team. That opens up the offense. And if you've got players, that's all you need, man.
Yeah, and again, to me, defense is one of those things you can affect more than the offensive ball. The ball going in a hole, players. Millicott, has 5 threes in one of those games or something of that nature. That's great. but it's every play can be played with a tremendous effort on the defensive end. You have enough offensive weapons to score enough points. It's if you can take that pride and joy playing every possession like that, where every possession matters, every game, you're going to put yourself in a great position because that ball will find the hole. Sometimes when you're playing great defense, great offense just ensues.
I forgot I'm wearing this shirt that I picked up over the weekend. Mick's Irish Pub in Iowa City. Great place, man. If you're an IU fan, you go back there. Iowa City is a really, really fun little town. It's a great college environment. The environment around the stadium was amazing. It's one of those places. It's just a great football environment. The fans are awesome. I got to see some old friends that currently live in Iowa. That was cool. It's just one of those environments that is good to be around. It's just fun. I did not see a single problem. I mentioned on a post-game show that we did that the main street that we're running right out in front of the main entrance to the stadium was like, I guess, one lane on each side and a big center divide line. Cars going up and down it. No cops. There was no cops directed. There were people just going up and down and no issues, no traffic issues. And I'm like, man, this is nuts. They just know how to do it, man. They're pros at it. But
I was just in Cedar Rapids weeks prior. If you remember my last basketball camp, it's always
where my friends live.
Always a great place. And Cedar Rapids is only 20 miles, I believe, outside of Iowa City. So it's always been a great place. Yeah, always been a great place out when I go visit. A lot of pride and joy of Hawkeye fans in the area. You don't see a lot of Ames people. A lot of people at I-State. You just see a lot of University of Iowa almost everywhere.
Yeah, that's actually where they are from. Where I ended up, the friends that I met down there. But they've got corn as part of their stadium decoration. No, outside the stadium.
Yes,
at the stadium.
A bunch of cornfields, right? And then
no. At the stadium.
At the stadium. Wow. Yeah.
Instead of part of their decor.
Yeah.
Instead of flowers, it is corn. Live growing corn. Which it's kind of cool. I have to say it's not bad, but yeah, got to take some great pictures. Got to wave to the kids at the children's hospital.
Yes, I was gonna say the kid. Yeah, there we go.
It's just a great feeling to participate in that. We were going to talk about something. No, I keep forgetting. Oh, preseason. Indiana basketball picked to finish 7th.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. The national guys, that's what they're still thinking. It's kind of like Indiana football, man. Everybody like, oh, same O. Until they prove it otherwise, they don't see it. Now, I agreed with that last year, but things have changed. Things have changed in the Big Ten. Illinois is not going to be Illinois. They're going to be decent, but they've lost some serious output there. We don't know what some of the other teams are going to be like that were good last year. Indiana is definitely going to be better. I think they're a top 4 team personally, but that is a guess. And until I really get to see them play, I thought Indiana would have played Iowa a lot better too. And I'm eating a lot of crow for that. This is full of crow this morning, you all. I'm eating crow. All the Iowa fans, man, I took a shellacking from the Iowa fans on here, but and deservedly so. But you can only go off of what you've seen and what information you have. But Indiana is I think they're a much better 7th place team, Charlie.
Well, here is where you really can't even compare it to last year because of parity. You may have a whole different lineup. The only familiar 2 faces you may have in your starting 5 could be a Rob Finney and TJD. You may have a total different lineup.
Rob won't start.
Well, if he doesn't start, you're definitely going to have you have probably 3 or 4 pieces that was not on your team the year before. So, I mean, you almost can't even compare it to what the team did. I mean, it's almost like a new identity.
Yeah.
but yet I understand tradition. I understand, speaking from, the Archie Miller days, I get all that. And to then say, okay, what will the transfers bring? That's a safe place, but now you have to prove. Like I said, for me, it's a patient thing. I mean, I'm not going to put too much onus on expectations. The team should be much other than really just everyone's new. You got new assistant coaches, you got new head coach, you got, it's going to be a lot of newness going on. So I'm just happy. I'm happy and excited for the guys to have a coach like a Coach Woodson and have an opportunity to play for somebody like that.
Well, I try to stay middle line on it, but I'm happy that they get to play and have fun. I know that they're going to have fun this year. Right. There is no way in hell they have had fun over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think that as much as I harped on that for the last 2 years, I think that, for 2 years, everybody thought I was a jerk because I was just saying, he's not the guy. He's not getting it done, blah, blah, blah. And it's not my job to sit there and always say it's okay when it's not okay. It wasn't. And now, as soon as he was gone, you heard multiple players start talking about this. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. But that's not – you can't play when you're not having fun. You especially when you're not getting paid to do it. It's not a job. This is – college athletics is partly about fun. Now that's changing, but it's still – it has to be fun. I'm sure at some point in a professional career you lose that. But you still have that competitive drive. Those guys have to, or they can't compete. If you don't have a competitive drive, you can't play because it shows up. And it's hard to have that competitive drive when there are so many outside influences and losing and all this, that, and the other thing. But that is not going to be the case this year.
Right. Yeah. All that noise is gone. And now you pretty much have a clean slate in my view. And you just got to play from that standpoint. What happened, and players got a chance to voice their reflections. And now they're in a new system, and we'll see what comes of it.
I was hoping to get you up here for Hoosier Hysteria, but schedules are not going to work out. But that's going to be interesting to see how that works out this year. No Hoosier Hysteria last year,
right?
I'm going to be interested to see what the fan turnout is like because the anticipation is very, very high. So that should be fun coming up in, we're just a couple of weeks away. What is this? 3 weeks away at least, or maybe it's a month, something like that. But looking forward to that. What do you have coming up, Charlie?
Again, for me, I have one more camp coming up in October. But it almost like a month and few weeks away. This becomes like my off season. So there's a lot of kind of one cool thing about what I've grown to understand is I look at my evaluations. Every single camp I do, Jim, parents, players evaluate my performance to camp, what can be better, what can be improved from the coach. I like to look at that and look at some areas where I need to grow. Talk to people like yourself. Hey, man, I'm struggling in this area, or hey, I'm doing well. How can I continue to get better? So that's kind of what I take this off season as, almost like a prep planning to look to grow as a person and also as a coach.
Hey, before I forget, with the graciousness of an anonymous donor, we have 2 football tickets for the Idaho game that we will be giving away this week. So if you are capable of coming to the game, then you're eligible. If you can't, don't jump in there. We're still trying to going to come up with a question probably at the during Friday's show, but it will relate to the shows during the week. If you're not watching, you're not going to know what it is. It may be something so crazy, but who knows? But looking forward to that. I wish you could get up for a football game. That would be really fun, man.
I would love to. Let's look at Outlook. I know the week we're talking about. I know my daughter also has an event, so Well,
yeah,
let's
that's not a home game anyway, so that does
right.
But that's Hoosier Hysteria. But
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the other
exactly.
side of that, look at the schedule. Check
Let's
out
look
the
at it,
football
yeah.
schedule.
Let's
See
look
if
at
you
it.
can
That'd be
get up. Which is we got another game coming up. I got to go watch here in a minute. Steve Hart, Michael Herman, and Brian Evans on there.
That's funny.
Man, we're out of time. I was going to ask about Brian. Man, he was. I love. We you know what? Next week we need to get Brian on here.
That'd be great to get him on.
He's been on with a lot.
That'd be great to get him on. Yeah.
He is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
He is hilarious. Did a post game show with him a couple times last year. He was out, so he just sat in this chair like he was King Brian, and he had a guy next to him who he didn't even know. He brought onto the show, and it was pretty funny. He's a character, cool. But we got to get out of here, man. It's been another great fun one, as always, with Charlie on here. Cannot thank the great Don Fischer enough for joining us today. He'll be back on Monday. Don't forget to check out the Tom Allen Show coming to you from Southern Stone Restaurant. That's Wednesday night at 7:05 is when they go on if you're listening, but you can go there and eat. The food is tremendous. It is at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. But until, let's see, other than that, who else did we have on? We had somebody else, right?
Oh, Mike DeCourcy.
Mike, yeah.
Mike, I can forget the great Mike DeCourcy, man. Yes, big thanks to Mike as well as a great Tuesday. I hope you got and have a great day, Charlie, and a great rest of your week and a good time with the family today. I hope everyone else. Without you guys, man, I can't thank you enough. We have nothing to do if you're not here. Thanks to John, the producer. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.